Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Fortnightly Frontier, where two nerdy gamers try to and utterly fail at objectively describing Star Citizen as the best space game ever. I'm Darinator, and over there is Meyer.
Hello.
And this is episode 11 of season 3. And 2.4 is live. It's alive! It's alive!
It is alive indeed. Alive and well.
And kicking
alive.
and screaming like a baby.
Might need to change that sentence around a bit. I mean, it's alive, but I don't think it's well, and I don't think it's the one that's kicking and screaming.
It's in an
but
incubator.
It is there. Yeah.
Would you say that it was released prematurely, or is it just something that I couldn't really
I would
for?
say that they are on a tight schedule for release and stuff like that, and they do have to keep face and keep up appearances when it comes to things like releases and promises and stuff like that. Even though it was kind of like not so much promised, but it was rushed. It was rushed, but it was necessary because you kind of need to keep a certain level of interest and stuff. There were enough working pieces for 2.4 for it to be released, for it to be feasible, for people to go, okay, this is new. But there's a lot of like weird little bugs that weren't in 2.3 or weren't addressed for 2.4 and stuff like that, and those will get addressed as well, but now it's getting there and stuff. But you can never really factor for too many of these bugs. I mean, like for instance, when it got released, we had that database bug that we'd never had before, and no one could log on.
Yeah, which is the reason why this episode is so late to record. Instead of a Sunday, we're recording on a Tuesday because nobody could get past the damn CIG 10,003 error, whatever that means.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means, yes. And there's other bugs, of course. Stuff that was in PTU and was acknowledged to be in PTU, but wasn't actually fixed. Now I wonder why that was. Maybe they did. Maybe they just decided they weren't critical blockers and
perhaps
just led them through.
I mean, there were the things there that were unfortunate, but you kind of have to also, I guess certain bugs are more difficult to fix than others. I mean, if they were easy fixes, they wouldn't be there in the first place, would they?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose.
Not for long, anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, there's another thing. But
oh well. We've been playing it, and it's great. I mean, you can really see where this game is heading towards.
Indeed,
with the whole persistence. With persistent bugs, as some people have been saying, like the invisibility bug, which in a lot of cases makes you log out of the instance and join back in, because no matter how many times you suicide, you're still invisible.
Yep. Which is fun.
Which is fun. Yeah, it kind of makes trying to earn alpha UEC difficult. If you can't even get to your ship.
Yeah, I mean, those things will be fixed.
Oh yeah,
of course,
definitely. But, do you think they will be fixed in the course before they start actively pushing for 2.5? Do you think they have this sort of schedule? They release a buggy live version and then they fix it, and then they go with the next version with extra features, and then they release a buggy version of that?
To put it this way, I feel like 2.4 came not with too many like content features for players, but it came with one of the biggest back-end changes since 2.0. And so a lot of bugs were apparent with that. 2.5 is going to be more of a content thing, but it's not going to be, it's not going to change up the back end as like severely as 2.4 did. It's going to like come with maybe the bugs that will come with 2.5 will most likely be things like graphic bugs and stuff like that, clipping through the new pirate station and stuff like that. But
yeah, unless they started introducing really advanced features like access to the Galactopedia from in-game, for instance.
Yeah, I feel like 2.5 will probably be released with fixes specific to 2.4. I guess that's how things go. I mean, the numbers are kind of arbitrary. They're just like successive
and a
patches.
lot more content for 2.4, because
Mm.
we are actually kind of calling 2.4 the big patch, and until the next major feature, which would be, I suppose, planetary landings and stuff like that.
Yeah, people are speculating that planetary landings will be coming out sooner than later. Definitely, I think that, you know, it's kind of optimistic, but who knows? They could surprise us with, and this is the general consensus with other people that I follow and stuff, and they're like, well, they've been mentioning a pirate base. Well, is it going to be like a pirate port OLSR, or is it going to be Nyx? And for some reason, many people think that they're going to be introducing procedural planets and Nyx with 2.5, and that doesn't really make too much sense to me, because I feel like procedural planet technology seems to be a bit lofty, almost kind of like the persistence patch. I mean, like, you know, it's very, very, very lofty, you know? Yeah. They would say, oh, 2.5 is going to be a pretty big one too. I mean, like, unless they're trying to keep it like way, way, way under wraps, but you never know.
Yeah, I think that the pirate base is going to be on an asteroid.
Yeah, I feel like it's either going to be on an asteroid, or it's just going to be a station like Coreo or LSR, or kind of like an amalgamation of both of them, to be honest.
Well, I don't think it's going to be on its own, because, you know, pirates want to hide themselves, and we're better to hide than in a huge asteroid field.
That makes sense. That does make sense, yeah.
Or, you know, because if it's going to be Nyx, we do have leaked footage from a while ago about ship approach to Nyx, and you can definitely see that it is an asteroid, because you got a lot of chunks floating around, and it's very rough terrain, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be cool when that comes out, but personally, I don't feel like it is. I feel like slightly smaller things, maybe smaller additions to what we currently have with 2.4 will be out. I mean, just going by what we have from, the latest ATV, where they were talking about, the successes they've had with the persistence patch. They talked about, selling, they talked about. That's not in there. And they talked about inventory. That's not there either. These are two really big portions of the persistence thing to kind of make it a whole kind of feature. Because, right now, it's very gamified. The whole...
Yeah, basically the only thing that persists is what you're wearing, what your ship is wearing, and how much money you have.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. So, what they mentioned
would be good to have an inventory both on ships for storage nooks. Can you imagine how many storage thingies the Starfarer is going to have? Storage thingies, yeah, it's an actual term. It's a technical term.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, because you have all the not containers, whatever the whole little cubby holds and the netting.
Of course, yeah. I wonder how
all
they're
over
going
the
to
ship.
Implement the netting. To be fair, the netting kind of seems, I don't know, it just seems very lofty. I use this word lofty a lot today. I don't know. It's just my word of the day.
Unless they're gonna make it the current is just a placeholder, and then there'll be like this procedural netting that stretches over a box that it's placed there.
Yeah.
It's not beyond their capabilities. I mean, for some reason, this reminded me of in the new Wolfenstein game, where you have the plasma torch and you cut holes in grates.
Right.
It's a different hole every time, and it cuts where you point it at. So that's a procedurally generated polymesh. So, if that game can have it, why not Star Citizen? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're talking about, like, being able to cut things, I mean, the damage states from the new Freelancer damage states and stuff like that kind of point towards being able to do kind of things like that. If you shoot I don't know if it works right now. There have been some damage state bugs with certain ships in this patch, but previously you could shoot a Freelancer with a laser gun, and you'd actually see it like eat away at the metal through into the second layer, and you could like draw pictures on it. So
like on the Gladius.
Yeah. So
that's kind of it's slightly different though, because
okay.
that's shader driven.
Right.
And in the Wolfenstein comparison, I don't know why I even brought that up, but it just popped into my head that you actually create a different mesh because you have to go through it.
Okay.
Or maybe it's shader driven as well, and it just removes the physics grid. I don't know. Let's go back to Star Citizen, because this is what this podcast is about anyway.
It is?
Kinda, I think. I've been told.
Ah.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
something that wasn't in the PTU, but they brought into live, which kind of caught me by surprise. But it kind of makes sense. You can't fly rental ships anymore.
You cannot fly rental ships anymore. That is true.
In Crusader, you can
Crusader,
still fly them in Arena Commander, because that's where you rented them in the Arena Commander part of the store.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking, because you can't have every ship in Arena Commander, you can't have the Freelancer or can you? But you certainly can't have the Constellation.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna test that ship before buying it?
Well, you never could you? You had to rely on people who owned constellations in Crusader to go inside and fly them.
Right, or if you had a loaner, for some other ship. But
Yeah.
that's what I mean, is if you can't rent ships and test them out anymore.
Well,
Crusader.
you can always test them out in Arena Commander, and within
Yes, but
the lore, that's where you're supposed to test them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you the whole experience. Although then again, if you're testing out a car before buying it, you only are allowed to do a lap around the neighborhood and then drive it back.
That's very true, but that's where the intended disconnect is supposed to be. Like Arena Commander is supposed to be like a game within a game, and you're earning credits within that to earn game cars. However, the caveat being you can rent guns with UEC, with REC, and then use those guns in Crusader. But I think that is just kind of
a temporary oversight, maybe.
Temporary oversight, or perhaps maybe it's just there until you're able to buy and rent guns in the persistent universe.
Which is another thing that I think is going to happen with 2.5, where they will introduce selling of items and transporting items properly.
Yeah.
Is buying equipment for your ship, just like you can buy equipment with Alpha UEC for yourself.
Yes.
You can buy flight suits and armor and guns. You should be able to buy ship equipment for your ship.
It should, ship equipment buying, I don't know. That's Voyage direct revenue that they're going to be losing if you could suddenly buy and sell actual ship components. But I think that Voyager Direct is pretty dated in terms of...
They did say everything is going to eventually merge into the game. There will be no more store on the website, which is kind of cool if they can make it work.
They could almost kind of tie it in with the current lore for your character and the explanation as to who and what your character that you're currently using is. Like, the character you're using is not, it's not your character. It's he's a technician for the ICC doing odd jobs.
Right.
Like the
Is he a drone, maybe?
Maybe he's a drone, but
maybe that's why he gets to respawn all the time, because he's not
but...
real.
If only AI was allowed in that kind of context in the universe, but I think that's banned, isn't it? I like that, to be honest. But yeah, it's cool, and it's actually a contentious subject, I believe. Like, many people are like, oh well, you should be able to buy ships with my Alpha UEC that I've earned, and I'm like, well, should you really be able to buy them? Because there is that disconnect of not being your character. I mean, I can understand renting the ships, the same way you can rent them with REC now. Why not have a place where you can rent the ship, the exact same mechanic, but just in game and in
in Crusader, just have like I was just talking to somebody about, spurts and, space hertz or Stavis, Star Avis,
Right.
a rental company that does, maybe every ship will have its own stupid livery. It'll be black with a gold stripe along the side.
Right.
But yeah, would be cool if you could rent out ships instead of, having to ask people in chat, does anybody here have a constellation I could borrow, please? Maybe just rent ships with Alpha UEC. Have a rental company stationed at Port Olisar.
Yes.
You give them 10,000 and you get a constellation for 24 hours.
24 hours. Wow, that works actually. I mean, right now there really is nowhere to put your money in once you get the clothes you want and stuff like that. You only really need a change of clothes because it's a kerfuffle to try and get your clothes changed anyway afterwards. So it's kind of like, what are you going to use your money on? And I feel like that's an adequate sink for your money, like ships. Even if it is just a short-term rent or something like that. You can chalk it down to crazy insurance. Or
REC was very popular, before 2.4 came out, and with the Alpha UEC, just, people kept racing and dogfighting and kicking Vandal ass just so they could get up to like 25,000 and then rent a Saber or a Glaive or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like, again, there is no sink for... Sorry, Darsh. Your face is just like, oh my god, he hit the pop filter again. That's best. Anyway, so there is no sync for Alpha UEC right now. I mean, like, it's evidence from sources streams that you can get easily 200,000 Alpha.
I was actually there when he broke that.
Yeah.
And yeah, 200,000
in 2 days without a wipe. Yeah.
And nothing to spend it on because he said he had everything. Well, maybe he didn't have every piece of civilian clothing, but he definitely had all the weapons and all the armor.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, what do you do now? And there needs to be a sink for it. And they need to think about where the sinks for money should be in a public testbed of the baby persistent universe.
Yeah. Maybe bail money.
Bail money. I mean, that goes in line with things like death money and stuff like that, but they haven't really found kind of like, the compromise for that as well. I mean, like, it used to cost you 250 Alpha UEC to die and then to come back to life. And then once you're out of money, it's just a free res. But because there's been no incentive really to go and get yourself killed, they're like, you know what, let's remove that punishment because people just don't want to do anything. But I feel like that was the wrong way to go about it. I feel like you should definitely be charged for death, but at the same time, maybe if you're a criminal, you should be charged more for, like, there should be kind of like bail money goes into that, like the more your criminal rating, the more money you have to pay for.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you crash a ship, if you want to get it back sooner, you pay more money, but maybe if you die, if you're arrested, the higher your wanted rating, the more money you'd have to actually pay to get out of.
Your premiums go up.
maybe your premiums go up, but what I meant, to get out of your easy hab, to actually get out of your easy hab, you would have to pay.
Yeah, and I mean, that would just be a temporary thing because the whole easy hab jail thing is only a temporary fix until you get your pirate base and stuff like that. But it could work. I mean, there could be more than one pirate spawning place. There could be for, pirates like rank 2 to 4. You could spawn at like the pirate base, but rank 5 you spawn at jail and you need to spend money, and rank 1 you house arrest, I don't know. I mean,
or since they can't prevent chat, you just organize a rescue party.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess it'd be a bit of I say that word kerfuffle a bit too much as well, but it'd be a bit too much of a pain, to be honest, to like have to organize a rescue party every single time you get you get in serious trouble.
Yeah, but there needs to, like you said, there needs to be something to spend money on after you. 2.5, they said they will add a lot of content to customize your character even more.
Okay.
But unless they do something really inventive, I don't think.
I mean, they've talked about ways of, new ways of getting money. So, there'll be a selling system and stuff like that. Hopefully that means that, those closed box, I mean, like that, I guess that falls in line with cargo as opposed to just selling in general. But they mentioned that they were going to be filling the database, in the future with every foreseeable item that they can possibly think of in the game, up to and including livestock. We're not going to be seeing tapirs in the game just yet, but, it's cool that that's going to be there. And I feel so. I guess in 2.5 you might be able to loot those Benny boxes finally. But what I feel like maybe when they implement cargo, you might be able to just grab whole boxes and then take them with you to Olisar. I believe that's
right.
The dream.
And for that you would need that portable
the
tractor beam gun that they talked about for Sedibal.
Yeah, the way
all of this technology that they talked about and that's developed and have developed and stowed somewhere on the shelf that needs to be put in the game, and it's all waiting for Item Port 2.0.
Item Port 2.0,
and the netcode.
Yeah, speaking of Item Port 2.0, do you want to elaborate onto what that is for me?
Well, it's basically just how all the actionable items are handled.
Right.
Instead of everything having a use, you would have an outline of the object and then a list of actions that you would scroll through with your scroll wheel. Just similar to what you have in the store right now for trying out and buying. But it would be for everything, just like Chris Roberts said, you have a glass next to you and you have, drink from the glass or throw liquid into somebody's face or throw it on the floor and stuff like that. And it's not just for props that you can find on levels. It'll be for everything to do with ships, for doors, for components and stuff like that. Everything will be interconnected in this huge if-else system, so to speak.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's the whole thing that's big and on the horizon.
Yeah, and hopefully as well, once that's there, then they'll tackle this whole netcode thing. Because they've talked about the solution for it and how that should affect it and how that should work. But I don't think it's in place right now, and it's a very crucial one. And without it, we're going to keep having, 20 and lower of the most cinematic frames of our generation.
So cinematic, everything. Yeah, they've described it at length and what needs to be done, and it's just taking its sweet time. I wish somebody would, get off their ass and create a site with like they did with ships. Every ship, they had a list of every ship, and they had sections, white box, gray box, hangar ready, flight ready, stuff like that. But they would have 4 major features, and they would have also milestones for it, and it would be really cool if you would have some sort of spreadsheet or view to see where these features are along their development path.
Yeah, what you're talking about is a roadmap, and many in development games that are out there do have them, and they look really cool. Like they've done it in a very graphical, stylistic way, so you can actually see exactly what's happening. Or where Starbound is a really good example because they do it really well. You can actually see what's going on, and they have these arbitrary progress bars. They don't really mean anything, and they're not relative to one another.
I'm not talking about percentage because
but it gives you an idea of what's happening.
It's really arbitrary, but milestones definitely.
Yeah. Starbone does it. I believe DayZ even does it, but it'd be nice because it'd give people something to look at But then again, once things are there and set in stone, and let's say one thing that looks like it has like an orange 25% progress bar suddenly goes green, while something else had 90% and has had 90% for the past year is still at 90%. You're gonna get other people just triggering so hard.
It's the same with the ships, and I think that's why they stopped doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't please everyone, and it's sad because
you had the Redeemer hangar ready for God knows how long, and then you have all these ships that come in through white box, gray box, hangar ready, and then flight ready, and
and the Redeemer is still there gathering dust. There. I mean, I mean, the Redeemer will be done when it's done. End of the day, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose to people. I mean, save for I mean, it serves pretty much the exact same purpose as the Starfarer does right now, which is being able to transport crew.
Just a bit smaller.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to put it out there until they've fully decided on what's going to happen with it exactly. There's a lot of like weird tech and aesthetics to it that just don't fit into the universe. I mean, it won the competition because it was a freaking amazing looking ship, but unfortunately, it's a 4 horseman ship. It's not like a Aegis ship, whatever.
It's not an Aegis ship precisely. It does have the cockpit, which I think for a lot of ships, CIG stole.
Yeah.
Because the Aegis ships had the whole canopy thingy going first, which was, the Avenger and the Gladius, but then the Redeemer came in with its new fancy cockpit, and then all of a sudden, both the Saber and the Vanguard both have the exact same sort of cockpit.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded to see, a 4 horseman ship in the game as opposed to an Aegis iteration of something from our world, just because then there's a bit more creative liberty, not too much, not so like they're flying Gundams where everybody else is flying Star Citizen ships, but right now there are only how many different manufacturers in the verse right now, and you have the entire pretty much galaxy to fly around and stuff like that. It's not the entire galaxy, but the entire wherever we are, and it's like when you're, for instance, looking at the concept art that's like flowing through this thing here, you see, or if you're in ArtCorp and you're looking up, you see the brands and stuff that you recognize, but then you also have these like these municipal ships that serve you as a player no purpose, but they kind of fit into the game, like just like your single seaters putting about from one part of the city to another. It'd be cool and interesting to own, on the same level that it'll be cool and interesting to have a Grey Cat buggy, but at the same time, it would have been nice to have more obscure developers, manufacturers, just for the sake of it.
Yeah, you want a lot more diversity, not just when it comes to ships, but manufacturers and design languages. You don't want it to be episode 2 of Star Wars, and that's scene in Coruscant where every car was the fucking same.
Yo, I mean, I guess ArtCorp is made by, it's owned by one company, so why not all ArtCorp ships,
Does ArtCorp make ships?
No, they do not. It was just an example. I mean, like...
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't think they do. I do not think they do. I believe that the only ship manufacturer in that system is Crusader, which makes the Starliner.
That is true. Yeah. But Starliner is a bit cumbersome for a daily driver to and from work.
Very true. I mean, unless... Because the Starliner, and we've segued a lot here from 2.5 talk, but, it's still cool to talk about it. I mean, the Starliner is one of those ships that its intention is, rather than releasing a whole ton of variants, it's going to have a lot of modularity to it. And you buy, like, your base module, and it's pretty much like a tight economy class kind of bus feel. And, as you get along and you get more UEC and you get the ability to upgrade it more and more and more, it's going to look more and more like a luxury liner or however you want it to be. It's got 3 decks, for crying out loud, and you can kind of kit it out to whatever way you want. So
I want it to be a yacht. Just like an A90 jump, but bigger and more.
Is it bigger than an A90 jump?
That's a good question. No, well, when it comes to interior space, it is bigger, I think, I'd say. But also, I don't want to say more utilitarian, but more useful, because the A90 jump is basically bar in a casino ship.
Yeah.
But I'd want it to be somewhere where I can live.
Yeah.
You know,
The
and have
890.
everything functional.
Yeah.
Not just for leisure.
I'd love to see how they've come along now with the 890, because I've seen like the gray box for it at the moment, where you have like the 4 really luxury bedrooms around the back. You go upstairs and there's a beautiful bridge that has the most gorgeous panoramic view, and you go downstairs and there's a lobby and it has an even more gorgeous panoramic view, and you got an engineering deck underneath that, and it looks crazy. But that's really old, and I'm sure they've iterated upon that, and it looks a whole lot different now. But
then again, they did say that they're not going to be working on it for quite a bit, and in the next few months, they will be working on the Carrack.
Yeah, I feel like the Carrack serves more of a purpose than an 890 jump. 890 jump is just pure. I mean, like
it's pure debauchery.
Yeah, 890 jump. I feel it's going to be one of those ships that are like, okay, well, this ship has science, this ship has mining, this ship has
strippers,
dog fighting, and strippers. It's got a stripper pole right in front of anyway. But
it's Iron Man's personal jet.
Yeah, I feel like the 890 jump will, just because they're adding all these random gameplay elements. The science stuff and the mining stuff aren't random gameplay elements, but the Galaxy Starliner does have random gameplay elements. I feel like, the 890 may as well have it as well, and they'll just outsource some mobile developer to make it for them, because that's what I feel like what they're doing for the Galaxy Starliner. The game has that kind of openness to it that who's going to make those games but people who know how to, and you just...
Right, yeah, but I think the days of outsourcing are kinda nearing to an end with the number of people that CIG keeps getting on board officially.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's always contracting and getting people on, they do their job and they leave and stuff like that. So, true, contracting an entire studio, perhaps not, but, getting 1 or 2 people who are, like, really good in that one field, getting them in there in the office, and then they leave once they're done, I guess, is more feasible. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, but basically, the gist of it is I want to live on a ship.
I want to live on a ship.
Yeah. I don't want to be station bound. I only want to fly there for food. I want to scoop my own fuel and explore planets. And...
You want to be this self-subsistent kind of like just spaceman, I guess. You don't have to rely on anything. I guess an Endeavor would be good for you, because then you could do the whole farming thing.
I don't want to play Farmville in Stark Citizen. That's why I left Facebook, because of all the fucking Farmville invites. I don't want to play Farmville. I get enough of that in Minecraft.
Yeah, I feel like if they, if they kind of like handle it properly, it'd still be really cool. They said that they'd never go into such lengths, or that you'd have to eat or you die, As much as I've loved that, to be honest, that whole aspect of survival. Eventually you're going to have to worry about, in a long journey, oh damn, did we fill the oxygen tanks before we left?
I think there's going to be self-sustaining, so long as you have power going in your ship. Life support is going to function. Yeah, and although you said you wouldn't have to eat, but if you do choose to eat, would it be mandatory to poop?
These are the questions we ask on the Fortnightly Frontier.
Indeed.
Excrement, or not to excrement? That is the question.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It is a very important question. Then again, they said showering will affect how NPCs treat you.
What I would like to see, what I feel should be a thing. Even if a player does not necessarily need to eat, I feel like if in a multi-crew ship you don't have the resources in order to feed your NPCs, I feel like they should starve to death and stink up the
I
place.
think that was confirmed that NPCs will actually have to adhere to those rules. Yeah, they
Yeah.
will need to eat
Yeah.
and possibly clog up the toilet, and you'll have to fix that as well. all these new gameplay possibilities.
I can see it now in the job. Well, looking for more one-man janitor must come with his own plunger. You know, yo, that's my skill. And, some overclock racing ships. Some of the best pilots in the verse. I have my own version of FPS, and I fight turds all day. I don't know. You know? That's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah, maybe they should just combine Star Citizen with Viscera. What's it called? Some Viscera cleanup something, and you basically play a space janitor.
Yeah, I think I know the game you're talking about. It's not Viscera Cleanup Duty. It's something else.
Yeah. But yeah, you play a space janitor because why not?
Why not? Indeed, yeah.
Oh, what did we start this episode with again?
Space. I guess we covered 2.4. We said what was there. We said what should be there, and we talked about the bugs that are currently apparent and stuff like that came around. Darge and Myers, Space Janitors Extraordinaire is what we kind of finished up on, and it's kind of just more looking to the future, and I feel like in 2 weeks' time, hopefully by that time, we would get more information and more details, especially on the next patch, because it is almost the end of the month. And even though it took a while for Persistence to come out, Persistence is only being done by one team. And all the other teams are still working as hard and as fast as they ever were. And because now we're actually like a month late for the next patch, I believe that the next content is going to be 2 months of kind of like development in certain aspects.
Yeah, 2.4 was supposed to be the April patch, not June.
Exactly.
So, then 2.5, which is the May patch, I think you were going to get in August.
So it could be like some studios may have some, surprises for us. It could be that they may have been sitting on their laurels because they were like, oh, well, we've done our job for this, for this month. But, I doubt that's the thing. That the CIG teams in all the different studios and stuff are very diligent people, Like they work weekends when things go wrong and stuff. So, I'm really looking forward to this patch.
Half of the company is working on Squadron 42.
Yeah. So
which has nothing to do with what we're actually getting.
Yeah, so because 2.4 is so late, I feel like 2.5 is going to be more like a 2.6, in terms... I mean, and this is very lofty again, but I feel like certain studios would have gotten places and more, and so there will be more stuff than if 2.4 came out last month, It may not be that, it's going to be huge, but it's going to be substantial, I feel.
Right. And I think, 2.5... is going to be a major bug fix for 2.4 and with a bit of extra.
Exactly.
But yeah.
2.4.1 is confirmed with some bug fixes as well. So 2.5 isn't going to be entirely about bug fixing because you kind of want 2.4 to be kind of somewhat stable before you then add more stuff onto it. But one can only hope.
Yeah, I just hope they don't roll out too many patches because they still haven't fixed the whole patching thing.
Yeah.
That needs to happen. We were talking about two major features that are holding everything back, which being the item port 2.0 and the netcode. But the third one is the patching. Because that's really costing CIG right now because they have to, send out 24 gigabytes. Well, not every time, but at least 3 gigabytes per tiny patch.
Yeah, it's costing
everybody.
CIG. It's costing the citizens as well because you have some people who they can't afford to download all the time because they have data caps and stuff like that. So once they fix that too, that would also be really nice.
Yeah,
pretty please.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because what was it? 2.4p patch had like 4 patch nodes and they were minor and it was still 6 gigabytes because it accessed like 3 different pack files.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, all that stuff will come out soon. I mean, like, this is
hopefully.
This is a very, stark difference in terms of game. But, World of Warcraft, which is now, came out in 2004, you know. So it's like now 14 years old, something like that. So like
Math with Meyer.
12 years old. So like yeah. So I, for the hell of it, like I. That's with Meyer, jeez. Because I watched the Warcraft movie, and again, segue from the discussion. I watched the Warcraft movie. It made me feel kind of hyper nostalgic. So I decided to go and download it. I opened, you know, like the Battle.net thing, and it started downloading, and 500 megabytes in, it said the game was playable with 25 gigabytes left to download. I opened it, and I could run around. I could see exactly where I was and stuff like that. And it was like, wait, what else do you need to download? Like, it played the cinematic and everything. I mean, like, so
it was slowly streaming everything in.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's amazing.
Which is something that CIG would have avoided had they picked a different engine, or they started doing their own engine work from the beginning. But
you know, back then they didn't know.
Hindsight's a bitch.
Yeah.
They were starting with a hopeful goal of 4 million, or was it even just 2 million?
They started with the intention of making Squadron 42 before, you know, people started saying, hey, how about a stretch goal? How about a multiplayer? How about this? How about that? And then, you know, that's
exactly. When they started developing the game, they had maybe 10 million of a goal, and there's no way you can write your own game engine for an MMO on just 10 million and still populated with a good game. But now, if they knew they would get to, what is it now, $116 million, might have been different.
Oh, wow.
We may not have been on CryEngine, and patches would be tiny.
Yeah, so...
But then again, I don't think we would be at 2.4 at the moment. We'd still be at like 1.2 because...
Yeah, it'd be an even longer wait. Although I guess the hiccups and hang-ups that we've had so far would be different.
Yeah.
But that's just, you know, par for the course.
It would be about creating code instead of trying to modify, failing, and then creating code.
Yeah. And we probably wouldn't have the people we do have right now from CryEngine and stuff like that. We probably wouldn't be where we are with the local physics grids and stuff like that. And we'd probably just kind of be in a completely different place. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you haven't followed any E3 whatsoever, have you, then?
No.
There's an interesting game out there called, and it was announced last night, called Dual Space. But when I heard it, they're like dual space, and I was like, all I can think of is, we're in Star Citizen, like, oh my god, we're in dual space, you know, Vanduul space, because that's what they call Vanduul anyway in the game, like duels. Yeah. Okay. And it's kind of like No Man's Sky. Like it's what I feel people think No Man's Sky is gonna be like. It's like a combat-oriented No Man's Sky meets Minecraft. It was really cool. Right. Like I see. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Anyway, like.
Yeah, but anyway, I think we rambled quite enough for today. Sorry if this episode is a bit late on YouTube, but 2.4 was being a tiny bitch and preventing us from actually recording this episode. Although, considering how much we actually talked about 2.4, we could have just done it and just nobody would have been the wiser, I suppose. But anyway, thank you for joining us tonight, and I suppose we will see you in the news.